Hello everyone, this afternoon on The Marketplace, government turns attention to individual countries like China after securing agreement with bilateral creditors on debt restructuring. Ahead, more donors expected to commence disbursement to Ghana following agreement reached with official creditor committee on debt restructuring. Also coming up, industries are insisting that Ghana needs to do more despite new data suggesting strong pickup in exports to other countries in Africa.
Region, we may appear to be doing quite well, but there's more room for improvement. The expectations are that if you want to really integrate Africa, you need to expand trading.
My name is Darryl Kwao. Thanks for being with us. Details coming up. Happy holiday, everyone. First up, government says it is now turning its attention to individual countries like China after securing an agreement with bilateral creditors on debt restructuring. The Finance Ministry earlier this week announced that it has reached an agreement through the official creditor committee on terms for restructuring Ghana's $5.4 billion debt owed bilateral creditors. However, it now has to move to finance the terms with individual countries. Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Abnor Asari, says this should not be viewed as a challenge at all because of the deal reached at the official creditor committee level.
The important thing is getting that broad framework, and that is what we have achieved. That alone is going to cause the IMF to go to the board and release the next tranche of $360 million, which will also help a lot in our budget implementation. And again, like I said, now we are really focused on making sure we live within our means. We are not going beyond that. I can assure you.
That's a promise.
That yes, and so with that space created by the OCC's announcement, we're going to go all out and negotiate one after the other with all the OCC members. We cannot have a time limit, but the most important thing is that there's a framework. Yeah. So once there is that framework, you are assured that that framework is going to create a minimum amount of space. If you are able to negotiate with individual countries and you are able to do better than what the framework has for you, you get to increase that space. But we don't want to put any time limits. The most important thing is that that framework is there. Once that framework is there, it gives us time to engage individually with every member and to, at the end of the day, make sure that we are able to achieve our debt sustainability and as well as live by what we have agreed with the IMF.
But as we try and wrap up this interview, are you also looking forward to the other donor partners to react positively? You've spoken about the Korea support, there's an Afri-Exim support, there's a World Bank support as well coming in. What should we be looking at in terms of these other donor partners quickly coming on board? Some would say that the IMF initially said that with financial assurance they were going to the board. Now you have this agreement. It appears that within the coming days they will come out with the date for the meeting. Any response you're looking forward to in terms of donor partners to also come on board to support the economy?
Remember, we once said that should we go through this process? Should the OCC complete the MOU? Should we finalize the MOU? It will also open the opportunity for other donor partners to also come in and then support. Already we are expecting $300 million from the World Bank DPO, the $360 million from IMF, and we're also looking at the cocoa syndicated loans, which is also bringing in some form of forex. And the completion of the MOU will also pave way for certain projects that had been stalled to quickly go back for contractors to go back on site and start working. So all these things is opening these opportunities for us, including donor partners, including going back to projects that had been stalled. And so it is a positive outcome. And I want to thank the President for the support, and then the Minister for Finance for his leadership. And we ask the people of Ghana to continue to support us for us to make this huge gain together.
Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Abnal Sasari, there, and like you heard her say, more donors have kick-started the process to release more funding and technical support for Ghana. This is what Joy Business has picked up from the country's development partners as well, following agreement reached with the official creditor committee on debt restructuring. Georgia Faye has more.
The move has been influenced by progress made by securing an agreement with the bilateral creditors through the official creditor committee and progress made under the IMF program in terms of meeting those critical targets. It has also been influenced by reports that the economy is recovering far better than what the IMF had projected under the program. This should mean that Ghana is now in a better position to meet its debt obligations going forward. The World Bank has even started fast-tracking the process to release more project funding to Ghana. Some analysts have even indicated that the development could also trigger other private businesses to move in their funds after the Domestic Action Program and negotiations with creditors forced them to freeze any transactions into the country.
Now, commercial banks say they are yet to fully recover from the debt exchange program shock despite strong earnings posted for last year. Some of the banks have posted record profits for last year, with some seeing profits cross 1 billion cedis for the first time. Chief Executive of the Ghana Association of Banks, John Ewa, maintains that the high non-performing loans still remains the biggest threat for most banks.
There are several factors that work against the banks when it comes to recovery of distressed assets. Our legal system or the judicial system doesn't help with recovery. If you take a bad loan or a customer who has a bad account or a bad loan to the court, the way the court system can play the bank, seeing the bank as though we are vultures trying to kill the borrowers. Meanwhile, the people have defaulted, and the bank is just taking steps to recover, and you find that you'll be tossing them from court 1 to court 2, court 3. By the time you enter execution, the underlying asset that will help you to recover is almost gone. Land administration is another problem. Of course, the environment also doesn't help, given where interest rates are. If you borrow right now at 35% or let's say 30%, what kind of business are you going to do to be able to return sufficient profit to pay off your finance costs? It's a very difficult environment that the banks operate in. Yes, the credit risk environment within the banks, needs some fine-tuning as well. I know that banks have taken steps to ensure that the rigor around loan sanctioning is also improved. But generally, the credit culture in the country is very bad. It's terrible. I mean, I'm sure you have examples where even friends and family members have come to you for sometimes as little as 1,000 cedis, and you have become the enemy. Though you are the one who lent the support. It's the same people who come to the bank. The same people who, we give 500, 2,000 here, even Momo. You say, don't transfer to my Momo account because I've borrowed. They don't want to pay. That same culture is what, the same people are the people who come to the banks to borrow. So that tendency that, I can just default and there will be no proper consequences because I can hide under the cover of the courts and the lawyers playing the banks, it doesn't help.
But is there
one thing that contributes to the bad credit culture is that there's no proper consequence. People can default in rent payment and they still have access to the banks because the bank has no visibility on the credit profile of the borrower. We don't have 100% visibility. It is possible that sitting here you may have taken some supplier credit. You have some mom and pop shop somewhere. It should all go into your credit scoring. But we only see what we have given to the Credit Reference Bureau. Unfortunately, it's not sufficient because there are other credit points that have not been consolidated. People know this. They know that I can borrow from friends and family and still go to the bank and take money. The bank, we use what we call the debt service ratio, DSR. You earn 1,000 cedis. No bank will give you 800 facility that will result in you paying maybe 800 Ghana cedis when your earning is 1,000 because the debt service ratio will be too high, and which means that the probability of default will be high, and you will be left with just little disposable income for other expenditures. So we carefully set this debt service ratio at a level that leaves room. Unfortunately, that room is consumed by other lines that the bank has no visibility over, which are also credit lines. It can be rent, it can be borrowing from friends and family, it can be any other, kind of credit activity that also takes away from the borrower, which reduces their ability to service the actual loan they came for from the bank.
You're watching The Marketplace. Next, the financial markets update. Now, interest rates tumbled once again across the yield curve as the government recorded a marginal undersubscription of Treasury bills. That's according to the auction results by the Bank of Ghana. The fall in the T-bill yields is in line with the easing of inflation. Here's more in this report. The 91-day yield eased to 24.85% from the prior week's 25.03%. That of the 182-day also went down by 9 basis points to 26.82%. Similarly, the 182-day bill also declined to 27.81% from the earlier 27.92%.
Gainers were GCB Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, Societe Generale, Total Energies, Atlantic Lithium and Benz Oil Palm Plantation. Conversely, the decliners were Guinness Ghana Breweries and New Gold. Accordingly, the Data Bank Stock Index increased 0.48% weekly to a year-to-date gain of 20.27%. However, the Ghana Stock Exchange Composite Index lowered 0.13% weekly to a year-to-date gain of 20.35%. Aggregate weekly turnover totaled 12.3 million Ghana cedis from the exchange of about 2 million shares across 23 counters. New Gold was the topmost counter, accounting for 41% of the recorded turnover. Based on the bids and offer dynamics of the market, we do not expect much price activity this week. For Joy Business Reports, Grace Monanyun of Databank Research.
While away from the financial markets, players in the downstream petroleum sector have highlighted the effects of the depreciation of the cedi on their operations. According to the general manager of Mysol Energy Company Limited, Frederick Ametepe, the continuous dip in the local currency makes it difficult for product pricing, coupled with high operational costs due to the unpredictable nature of the cedi. He spoke to Joy Business at the 10th anniversary celebration of Mysol Energy Company Limited, a solely owned Ghanaian company in the sector.
Global economic uncertainties, supply chain disruptions, and the need to ensure cost-effective operations has bedeviled the petroleum downstream sector. The sector, which has been dominated by foreign players, has seen an increase in the participation of local players in recent times. One of such is Mysol Energy Company Limited, a privately owned Ghanaian company formed to provide support to the downstream petroleum sector. The company, which has been in existence for a decade, prides its utmost customer service as a reason for its existence. On the occasion of its 10th anniversary, General Manager for Mysol Energy Company Limited, Frederick Ametepe, bemoaned the effect of the depreciating cedi on the company's operations.
It's been very difficult and very challenging. It's not been very easy at all. Looking at the market in which we operate, any movement in dollar affects our business. Because at any time when we are pricing our products, you use the FX rate per time to price. If by the time you are maybe collecting your receivables, the dollar goes up, it affects. It only means that you are going to now use more cedis to chase the same amount of dollar, and that significantly affects our operations.
On ensuring sustainable operations, here is what Chief Finance Officer of the company, Martin Ohini-Enim, had to say.
We know green issues have dominated the world at this stage. So what we have done is that as part of the, we don't sell to our final consumers. It's our sister company, Nick Petroleum, who does that. So what we have done is that we have additives that we add to our product to make sure that it's environmental friendly, reduce the hydrocarbon effects of our product. So when you go to Nick Petroleum stations and you go and buy product there, you are rest assured that you are one that is considering green issues. And we're very instrumental in the tree planting activity. We sometimes donate to children homes and other other privileged societies so that you can benefit from what we are doing as a people.
The 10th anniversary celebrations was marked with a solemn celebration with well wishes from the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors and other partners in the industry.
We are very excited to see MyCell Energy come this far. 10 years, it's not a joke at all.
As a bank, we're here to support you and to say a big thank you for choosing us as your partners.
We are in it together, and if you have chalked 10 years, it is a great milestone, and we wish you all the very best.
You're still watching The Marketplace. Now, industries are insisting that Ghana needs to do more despite new data suggesting strong pickup in exports to other countries in Africa. The 2023 Afreximbank trade report showed that Ghana commanded more than 5% of intra-Africa trade. This was one of the highest to be achieved by on the continent, really. Chona Akpelo is the Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the Association of Ghana Industries. He spoke to Joy Business on the sidelines of the Afreximbank annual meetings in Nassau, the Bahamas.
Within the region, we may appear to be doing quite well, but there's more room for improvement. The expectations are that if you want to really integrate Africa, you need to expand trading. Ghana being the leader, because we have the headquarters and we are at the forefront of most of these conversations, it's important for us to do more. The Ghanaian business is normally very resilient. The Ghanaian businesses are people you can trust. The SME space is thriving. In fact, over 80% of all employments in Ghana are in the informal and the SME space. That tells you that a lot is happening. What we need to do now is to deepen the work of the SMEs to allow them to have access to international market. But this can't be talk. There has to be a more systemic and structural approach to making sure that we have this happen. 3 things. Number 1, e-payments. We need to make sure that they are able to do the transaction with a payment mechanism that is less expensive. The charges that we see when you do international payments are too high. It's not helping. So we need to look at that. The second thing is e-commerce. Fortunately, there are a lot of e-commerce platforms these days. But we want to see an e-commerce environment that is accessible, that is friendly, that is transaction friendly for even the smallest of the businesses. And those are what we're working on. The third...
And you see these things as some of the major hedges in our quest to do the intra-Africa trade, especially when it comes to Ghanaian business.
Exactly my point. So what I'm saying is that when all said and done, we need to focus on these 3 things to make sure that we promote intra-Africa trade and even trade beyond the continent. And that's why I mentioned payments, because it's very crucial, and also e-commerce, and then finally delivery, that's the logistics. Because when Auntie Muni, who is selling shea butter in Tamale, needs to sell her shea butter in Nairobi, it is important for her to have a safe mechanism to have a product delivered in a manner that is not too costly. So this is really what we're talking about, and we want to see a lot of effort, not only from the Ghanaian government, but from all the African governments, so that we can collaborate together and make it happen. For us in private sector, as you know, we are more than ready, we are eager. Our SMEs are producing. Last 3 weeks, I took AGI Greater Accra to go and visit Magdan Salt Factory. It was very exciting. We see a lot of things happening. Yesterday, when I had conversation with the Prime Minister of Grenada, he was keen for us to bring some of the salt and repackage in Grenada to be able to sell to the entire region of the Caribbean.
You made a very important point about payment systems and the challenges, and I want to get your thought on that. 2 days ago, I spoke to the former Minister of Finance, and he highlighted the concerns about the ECO, and he was arguing that maybe the best way is to deal with the payment system challenges in the region and not the ECO as well, because we've tried it over the years, it's not working. What is your thought about us abandoning the ECO and dealing with the payment system challenges rather as the way forward?
Well, so it appears that the payment system, the technology is far ahead, of policy. We've all been aware of this eco policy for a very long time. It has been more of talk than action. The eco doesn't appear to be happening because whilst the leaders appear to be committed, there's very little result they have to show for it. And all of us can imagine the economics of Africa are different. There are different features of the different countries we have in Africa. It is making it difficult to have single currency. Probably we should hasten slowly. Probably we need to focus on just having digital payments that is able to allow us to do transactions in our local currencies seamlessly. I believe if we're able to do that, then that can be a way. We've seen PAPs. PAPs have come, but our SMEs are not necessarily familiar with that. If the banks can take it up and make it doable, then it's great. Also, we've got payment systems for the telcos. We want to be able to integrate this in all the countries in Africa. And then to ensure that whilst we are doing the integrating, the cost of transaction is minimized because the cost of transactions is really high.
Finally, let me get your thoughts on AfTA. I read again the report, the Africa Trade Report, that talked about Ghana being the first set of countries that successfully did the trade, the 2022, the 11 countries. For you, AfTA, you think that it is good or there are problems? I mean, for you, what are some of the challenges? Excited or still there are feeding problem that needs to be addressed with AfTA?
So look, the concept of AfTA, all of us agreed it's a great concept. And we are happy that it's happening because at least the awakening is there for everybody to see. However, we want to see results. How do we see results? We want to see the woman in Cape Coast who is doing a fashion, who has a fashion business, doing a tailor-made clothing to be able to sell in the Kenyan market seamlessly. How can this happen? This can only happen where we break down the barriers of trade. It should be easy to move the products and the goods from Accra to Lomé and take off the barriers. As I speak, if you are going to Lagos from Accra, you are going to cross not less than 12 physical barriers. You can't be talking about intra-Africa trade on one side and have all of these barriers on the other side. You need to take them off. So we like to see real action in place. Real action being that the barriers are being taken off. Payments have to be seamless. We would like to see the central bank governance meeting to take off the barriers of payments. We want to eventually have one single gateway of payments that will facilitate the intercontinental free trade. And for logistics, our view is that you cannot be sending a product from Accra to Tanzania and the ship has to first go through Belgium. It doesn't make sense. You know, we want to see a situation where in real time we move the goods from one country to the other. That way we can really facilitate the AfTA initiative.
All right, Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the AGI, Chona Makweluda, speaking extensively to George Afe in the Bahamas, where the Caribbean Africa Trade Expo also took place. Now, finally, the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, KNUST, has entered into a partnership with the Project Management Institute Ghana for enhanced teaching and learning of project management as a program of study from the undergraduate to master's level. Now, this is to bridge the existing gap between academia and industry to make KNUST students globally competitive after school. Here's more in this report. According to the Project Management Institute, PMI, a recent survey has revealed that governments are losing about $100 million of every $1 billion project due to unprofessional and unethical practices of executioners of projects. The Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, KNUST, is the latest and second to enter into partnership with Project Management Institute Ghana to promote the learning of project management at the tertiary level. President of the institute, Frank Osa-Samoa, noted that project management as a professional program of study at the tertiary educational level has come in handy to assure both governments and private project owners of value for their investments.
Ghana would want to take advantage of this and The chapter is propagating the good news of the science and management of project management so that students, as long as project professionals, will have the technical know-how and the skills to be able to manage projects while saving this country and organizations this amount of money that usually goes to waste. So it is against this background that we decided as a chapter and the largest professional body in Ghana in terms of projects, program, and portfolio management, that it is the collaboration between industry and academia that would help us reverse this trend and rather make these monies become value, real value that are created for the citizenry and the customers and clients of the various organizations.
The Vice Chancellor of KNUST, Professor Rita Dixon, who signed on behalf of the school, expressed confidence that the partnership will enhance teaching and learning of project management.
We are very, very appreciative of this journey that we want to start with by signing this MOU. And on our side as a university, I just want to assure you that we are, first of all, very ready. We have the expertise. We are committed. We are dedicated. We are available to work and work with your institute on this journey.
And that's the marketplace. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com. More from our interview with Abner Sasari. Ghana seeks $1.7 billion from Afrexim Bank for SMEs and infrastructure projects. myjoyonline.com/business. The marketplace returns same time tomorrow.